So the year is 2000 and you've got yourself a lovely CRT in the corner of your living room and you want to play video games on it. You've got a couple of options. You can go with a PlayStation 1, a Nintendo 64, and a third option to get a PC in your living room. And now this wasn't always a viable option because it means you'd either have to build or buy a second PC or just use your current one and drag it into the living room every time you want to use it. So it's not exactly an ideal solution. The point of this video is let's get some games from the late 90s, early 2000s and see how they look on a lovely CRT. So there are a number of different ways to output to a television from a PC back in 2000. The main one being just your sort of bog standard graphics card. You can see this here is an AGP graphics card. These were really common as sort of like a relatively cheap video graphics card. It's the GeForce MX440, 64 meg onboard memory, but on top of the VGA port, you can see that it's not your standard SVideo slot. I believe the extra pins are so it can carry different types of video or something. Hopefully someone might be able to correct me because I'm not 100% sure. These cards were really common back then. I've pulled apart so many machines from those early 2000s era, late 90s era with these type of cards. Maybe not exactly this one. I'm not saying that every single PC of that era had an MX440, but that's sort of this sort of style of card. I've got another one here. This is an MX400, so slight different variation. But you can see this one here's got an RCA port as well on top of the SVideo port. So two very similar cards. Let's get that back in focus. Two very similar cards, both sort of designed to output from, or rather output to a VGA monitor or to a television. So you've got a couple of options there, which is really nice. As for audio, while most motherboards have your sort of bog standard stereo sound, a lot of people opted for an external sound card. This one's sort of like a dodgy. I think it's kind of like a rip-off of a Sound Blaster, or like a Sound Blaster clone. I haven't actually gotten around to testing and using this one. Maybe that's something for another video, but you can sort of tell it's one of those aftermarket Chinese cards. What you'll notice about this card is on top of the bog standard line-in microphone and stereo output is you've also got a black connector here, and this is for rear sound. So if you've got a surround sound system, you can actually get 4 channels out, and the orange one, I believe that is either a subwoofer. I'm pretty sure that's a center. Okay, so it's center, but I'm pretty sure you could also use it as a subwoofer. Just change it in your software settings, which is cool. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this one today, but because the PC that I'm going to test this out with already has onboard sound, but maybe that's one for another video. We'll see how we go. Alright, so here we go. We've got our lovely Microsoft keyboard and Microsoft Intelli mouse hooked up, and I've got my PC here all hooked up into the television, and it's a little bit messy now because I just want to test it out. Here we go. We can see the BIOS screen coming up, and one thing you'll notice, let's make sure it goes into 98. One thing you'll notice is that it actually looks kind of shitty. I don't know if you can notice on the side there's like these weird sort of magenta lines. Alright, so here we are, we're at the enter network password screen. I haven't plugged it into my network just because it's in the living room and it's not really convenient. So we'll just hit cancel and OK. Alright, I don't really care about the time and date. Okay, very nice. The text definitely looks a bit better now that it's booted up, and I believe this is because, let's just check something here. If we go in, you can see, okay, so you can see it's detected it as just a regular monitor on the GeForce 2 MX400 that I've got in here, and I've got the screen res at 640 by 480. Alright, so TV settings. Yes, so see how I've got it set to video, composite video out. If I set it to SVideo out, while I am using an SVideo cable, if I change it, look at how crappy everything looks. It looks awful. I'm not 100% sure why. I think it's to do with a bad not chroma, what's the other one? The black and white signal. I'm not 100% sure, I'm not an expert. But it's to do with one of the signals on the SVideo lead, or rather the card itself. So I have no idea. I'm happy with composite anyway. It actually looks quite good. I'm not one of those people that, you know, it has to be SVideo or it has to be component and whatnot. There's even a SCART option here. I don't think that will, yeah, that'll still look like crap, so I'm just going to get rid of that. You've got to consider the fact that this is a 21-inch CRT display, and if you're looking at it from a few feet back on your couch, you're not going to notice the difference between composite and SVideo. And if you are, well, good for you. You must have excellent eyes. Okay, so let's take a look here. I don't think there's anything I can really do about the bars. No, that's not really done much. Video overlay. I mean, I've had a bit of a play around in here, to be honest with you, and I can't seem to find anything to do with the underscan that's going on here. But that's okay. I'm not too fussed. We'll fire up Half-Life. Alright, so let's just make sure that our settings are set correctly. So we'll go video options. That should be fine. Video modes is what I'm after. Okay, so stick to OpenGL, but we're going to drop it down to 640 by 480. Let's just go here. Alright, so that honestly looks fantastic. Oh my god. This is probably a pretty crappy save to load from. Oh, okay. Aha, right. Let's go through here. Oh my god. Alright, so it actually looks really good. The game's obviously running at a nice higher frame rate. It's running at, 50 Hertz or whatever. Yeah, so this TV would be 50 Hertz because I'm in Europe. Yeah, lovely. The only thing that is bothering me just a little bit would be the underscan. The fact that there's a lot of sort of wasted space that I'm missing out on. About an inch on each side, but it's not the end of the world. One thing I did want to try though is one of these sort of smaller resolutions here. Let's try 512 by 384. Let's see how that looks. Oh, so it's just scaled it down to kind of like a windowed mode, but it's still outputting at 640 by 480. Okay, yeah, that's fair. So if you remember, I was saying earlier about having a desktop in the living room, and it is kind of inconvenient because obviously it takes up room. At the time, the cases were pretty ugly, if you're asking me. What I'm going to do is replace this PC with a laptop. Alright, so what I've got here is actually quite cool. It's a Dell Latitude laptop. I think it's from around 2001, 2002. It was designed for Windows 2000, but what I've got here is Windows 98 2nd edition, because that's sort of my go-to operating system, especially for these older machines. It's got a NVIDIA GeForce 2 Go, which is I'm pretty sure it was a Dell exclusive graphics card. And what's quite cool is you can actually change the graphics card on these, and I am looking for a better one. It's got 16 megabytes of video memory, which is actually really good for the late 90s, early 2000s games. One thing that I really do love about this machine is its screen resolution. So take a look at that. 1600 by 1200. There are laptops that are coming out, business grade laptops that are coming out these days that don't even have that high of resolutions. So back then this would have been really badass. But what I like to do is I sort of just bring it down to 800 by 600. That's exactly half. Just because it does make things a little bit easier to read on here. And because this is from what I consider to be the golden age of laptops, we've got heaps and heaps of ports to play with, namely this one here. So what we've got here is obviously a TV output, which is going to come in really handy for this experiment. So let's get it hooked up and see how it looks. Here we go. It looks like we've got a sort of black and white second display. Okay, what if I want to make this my primary display? Let's go into device. Here we go. What I might have to do is if I actually disable this as an external monitor, Then if I go back here, I believe twin view is what I'm after. Okay, and what that's essentially done is just given me sort of like another display, and see that's trying to cover the whole 1600 by 1200, so I might want to just drop that down. Maybe it'll be in here, device settings, screen adjustment. Select output device. So it's set to NTSC, which is another word for not the same color. Let's change it to where we are, which is the United Kingdom. Hit apply. And, okay, so it still looks like crap. And I think this is likely to do with the fact that it's on SVideo out mode. Let's switch it to composite video out. Ooh, that doesn't look any better. Okay, let's try and get this going. So I was messing around with the settings for a while, and it looks like it doesn't actually want to switch to composite only out. And I know obviously the solution is to get a new SVideo cable or a new SCART adapter, but honestly I'm not going to wait another few days or weeks just for making a video. So I've got a classic game here. It's called Exonics. This one used to come with like boxes of cereal and stuff, but I still think it's a real classic. I've actually got it outputted here at 320 by 240, which surprisingly enough, it seems like it can support it, which is kind of cool. So who knows, maybe this TV can support 240. Ah, son of a bitch. Yeah, it doesn't actually look too nice, to be honest. The longer I play, the more I just get pissed off looking at it, to be honest with you. I don't think it's something that I really want to use. Although you did see how my actual PC looked, and it actually looked quite nice because that was happy to output just the composite signal. So it seems like, it could even be just the driver. I'm fairly sure these Dells weren't actually designed to be used with Windows 98. Should I go over that? I just want to change that back so I'm not lost without a screen. Oh, okay. Ooh, that is not a good sign. Every time I try to open the settings, it seems to crash on me. Uh-oh.